Yeah. Okay. Great support. So guys, thank you for being here. My name is David Radney. I go by D-Rad. This class is called A Conversation About Scripts, hence why I'm sitting down. I don't believe in standing up and talking at you. I believe in having a conversation just to get the dialogue started around scripts. So I'm going to start off with a question. And I know we have a lot of people here who are new, but just play with me. You have a listing appointment. You do a great job. The seller agrees with you on price. They agree to pay your 6% commission. Things are going well. You have a pen in your hand and you give them the pen to say, all right, all we have to do now is sign the contract. And they say, we need to think about it. We'll call you Sunday and let you know what we decide. Here's what I want to know. How many of you guys would just say, okay, shake their hands and leave? Be honest.
In the past, yeah, no problem.
In the past, yes.
Yeah, this is my nature. It's like you say, no, I'm not gonna push it.
That's right.
I'm not a pushy person.
So in the past, you would say, okay, call me on Sunday. What would you do now?
No, you can't.
You sign now. But how would you handle that? If they're saying like, listen, we'll call you Sunday with a decision. What would you say to convince them to list with you right then, right now?
Well, I'm not well practiced.
Okay, that's okay.
So maybe you should tell.
Well, here's what I'll say. You may not be well practiced. However, if you knew what to say, what would you say? No wrong answers. I'm just kind of curious.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you could wait until Sunday, yes. However, let me tell you why you shouldn't.
Okay, I like that. You're on the right path. Let me tell you why you shouldn't. And why shouldn't they wait? Any reasons why they shouldn't wait?
I think you have to ask them why they want to wait.
What's important to you about waiting?
Yeah, until
Well,
Sunday.
We talk to a lot of agents. We need to like look over the data and just decide who we want to list with might be one answer. But let me take you guys back to an expired appointment I went on in West Milford. And I do a lot of training around scripting. Mike Ferry is one of my go-to guys on YouTube that taught me a lot about scripting and objection handling. And he taught me something that I tried at this listing appointment. So let me tell you about it. These people were listed for like 300 days and their home didn't sell. I went out, presented to them, told them what I could do to sell their home. It went extremely well. And then when it came to sign the paperwork, they were like, we need to think about it. We're not quite sure. And so here's what Mike Ferry told me to do. And here's what I did. And I'm super nervous to do it. It's a script though, and it's you taking control. I said, you know what? We're going to make a decision tonight, whether you choose to list with me or if I choose to take your listing. So what I'm going to do is go out to my car, have a few phone calls I need to return for work, and I'm going to come back in 10 minutes and we're going to have a decision made. Either way, it's okay. Whether you list with me or if I decide not to take it, it's okay. And I left and I went out to my car. And you could tell they were like, what's happening? And I got to my car and I picked up my phone and I called my wife, Michelle, and I was like, hey, I used that script. I told them I had calls to make and I called my wife and we talked for about 10 minutes. And they started flashing their light on the front porch. So I said, hey, I gotta go. Went back into the house and they said, okay, thank you for giving us a minute to talk. We'll list with you. And that's the script. Isn't that simple? I was so nervous to walk out the house though. I didn't know what was gonna happen. But people are just like us. Like before I make a big decision, I'm gonna talk to Michelle about it. I'm not just gonna say, yes, I'm gonna work with you. People need time to talk. So we have to give them that space. And sometimes they're not going to talk when we're right there. So we have to remove ourselves, tell them we're going to make a decision. And when you come back in the house, whatever that decision is, it's okay, but we're making a decision tonight. They're looking for someone who's going to take control. This is how we take control. This is how we show them that we're the type of agent they want to hire because they want someone who can close. They're hiring a salesperson to sell their biggest asset. We got to show them that we know how to close, don't we? Don't. So I said, don't we? And I saw everybody say, do this. When I said, don't we, what is that called? Anybody know? Thank you. You get a gold star, right? I wish I had gold. I don't have any gold stars, but you get a gold star. It's called a tie down. You say, that gets people to start agreeing with you. And when they start nodding their heads, they're like, okay. So you have to use things like, wouldn't we, shouldn't we? Those are called tie downs. And you'll find that that's a big part of scripting, is to get people to start agreeing with you. All right, so let's go back to, we need to think it over. What's another way we can handle that? Who do we have on here? Scott Stewart on here, Ashley. How do we handle that, guys? I need to think it over. What's another way to handle that actual objection? And just so you guys know, two-way street here. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and just talk all day. You guys are here. I want you guys to tell me what you think you should say, even if you feel like it might not be the right answer. I can teach you how to win with scripts. However, you learn when you fail. So it's okay if you say something and it's not right, because I'm here to help you walk through it and correct it. So even if you don't feel 100% sure on what to say, step out there, get out of your comfort zone, and tell me how you would handle someone saying, we need to think it over.
I would ask if there's something I didn't cover that would make them more comfortable signing the agreement today.
Would that work? And a lot of times there are things that we didn't cover, or a lot of times, even though people agree with us on price and they're like, okay, or they agree with us on commission, they still want to hear from other people to see if there's maybe a higher price.
FOMO.
Right, like, let me hear what another agent has to say. And so here's the thing, at a weak moment, they can end up with a very weak agent. We can't let them go talk to other people, because if we're telling them the price is 500 and our commission is 6%, another agent will come in and do what I call buying the listing. You guys know what that means? Buying the listing? I'm just gonna sit here till y'all start talking. What do you think it means when I say another agent will come in and buy the listing?
Lower commission.
Yeah, they'll come in and say what they have to say to get the listing. They have what I call commission breath, right? They're willing to say or do anything to get the business. So if they know they've already interviewed me and I'm telling them the price is $500,000 and my commission 6%, all the other agent has to do is come in and say, I'll do it for 5, or I can get you 600, right? And so we have to be very careful about leaving that meeting and not getting the paperwork signed, because someone will come in the back door and steal that listing from you. My whole philosophy when I go on a listing appointment, either they sign or it's not mine. And so I have to close 5 times when I'm there. If they tell me no one time, I go back and I close the second time, and the third time, and the fourth time, and the 5th time. After 5 times, if they're not willing to list with me, then I'll follow up, but I'm not going to stop after the first time. Because here's the thing that you have to understand. The seller will never call you back. When they say we'll call you back, they're not going to call you back. You know what they end up doing? Just listing with another agent, and then you see the listing go up on the MLS. They don't want to be the bad guy and call you back. So you have to learn how to say the right things in order to take the listing. All you guys sitting in the back, I have chairs up here. And here's the thing I've learned teaching these classes. People come in and they think this is a scripts class, and I know if I'm sitting up there and he looks at me, he's gonna call on me. I actually pay attention more to the people sitting in the back. So you have a better chance of not being picked on if you're sitting up front. I'm just saying, I'm trying to help you guys out here. So if that's why you're sitting in the back, I would say just come in here, because here's the whole thing I want you guys to understand about this class. I'm not doing this to put you on the spot. I'm not doing this to make you wrong. I'm doing this because learning scripts and dialogue is how you become successful in real estate. You have to learn what to say to people. You need to learn how to say it. And more importantly, you need to learn how to ask very powerful questions. As real estate agents, we do a good job talking about how great we are, how great our company is, how many homes we sell, what we sell them for, how quickly we sell them. People don't care about that in the beginning until they know you actually really care about them and what they're looking to accomplish by getting their home sold. And so it's so important that in this class, we learn how to have these conversations and how to have dialogue with people so they understand that we care. So I know right now we're talking about closing, but I'm just going to jump to something that I feel is really important. Every time I talk to an agent who's going on a listing appointment, I say, congrats, I'm happy you have that listing appointment. Why are they selling their home? And I get vague answers like, because they have to sell their home, right? They have to move. And we go to these listing appointments and we don't understand their true motivation. Who's taken bold in here before? Few of you. So complete this statement for me, or this bold law. Logic makes people think and
Emotion makes people react.
yeah, right. That's it. Logic makes people think, emotion makes people act and react. So logically, if people have to sell their home, they get that. They do understand they need to sell their home. When we can have an emotional connection with them and understand why they're selling their house, they are going to work with us, because most agents aren't having that connection. Let me give you an example on what I mean by that. I can talk to a seller, hey, I'm moving to California. I need to be there by June. I could drop everything and go out and meet with them and do a presentation. However, I don't really know why they're moving to California and why they have to be there by June. Why is it important for me to know that? Why should I know their whole motivation for selling?
To be able to connect with them.
To be able to connect with them, right? So if I dug a little deeper, anybody want to role play with me? Anybody want to be a seller and just do a quick role play?
I was late, I'll do it.
I love it. Tell me your
My
name.
punishment for being late, Francis Rosado.
All right, Francis. So thank you for talking with me. I'm going to ask you a few questions around your motivation. So I understand you're selling the house right now. Why is it important for you to sell the home?
I want to take advantage of the market.
Okay. And what's important to you about taking advantage of the market?
I want to get the best price.
Okay. What would it do for you if you got top dollar on the sale of this home? What would that do for you?
I might get to retire from my job a little sooner.
Okay, so retiring from your job sooner, what would that mean for you if you were able to retire sooner because you have the money in the bank to retire?
I get to spend more time with my family and my grand dog babies.
Okay, got it, got it. So ultimately, you sell the house, you pull that money out, you're able to retire early, spend more time with your family and your grand dog babies.
Yeah,
Is
because
that
they
correct?
haven't given me grandbabies.
Okay, got it. Just making sure I got that right. How do you feel though, once you're actually able to live that life and spend time with your family and your grand dog babies? How's that feel?
Great.
Yeah, right. So is that so much more than I just want to take advantage of the market? So when I'm actually talking to her about pricing and paying my commission and listing the house now and making a decision now, it's not me just talking about taking advantage of the market. It's about what taking advantage of the market does for you. It frees you up where you don't have to continue working for several more years. It allows you to spend time with your family. It allows you to spend time with your grand dog babies. And time is something we can't get back, right?
Correct.
So shouldn't we do the right thing and list your house right now so that we can get you moving in that direction?
That'd be great.
I can have a better conversation with her because I understand more about the motivation. And the key piece to this, a lot of times that conversation that you and I just had happens before I come to your house. It's when I'm making the initial phone call and setting up the appointment and pre-qualifying you. And so one thing I've learned is I need to take notes. So everything you told me, I should be writing that down. And so when I'm meeting with you and we're reviewing your motivation and you're pushing back on me on price, I'm going back to your motivation. I'm telling you your house was worth $500,000. You wanted at 600,000. Well, if we list it there, you're still going to be working for the next few years because your house will not sell. Is it okay with you if you're not spending time with your family and your grand dog? I don't know why I can't say that without laughing. And your grand dog babies, is that okay? And so I can go back to your motivation. You know, I had a client of mine who they were selling their house because they retired and they were on fixed income and they could not afford to live in Wyckoff anymore. The taxes were over $20,000. And where they were moving to down south, the taxes were like $2,500 a year. And so I had to actually sit down with paper and start doing some calculations on how much they were saving every month and how that helped them live a better lifestyle because they didn't have the high taxes in Wyckoff. I understood their motivation. I understood that they couldn't afford to live in this house. And if they freed up that extra income, they would be able to go down there and travel. The husband was a fisherman. He wanted to buy a boat. The money he was paying on taxes in Wyckoff was his boat money. And so when I understood that, I was able to convince them to price it correctly and list the home with me because I took the time to really dig deep into their motivation. Does that make sense to all you guys? So my saying,
I
yeah, go
have a
ahead.
question.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
actually don't know the answer to this, which I'm surprised. So you're pre-qualifying your seller and they say, okay, David, that's great. Yes, Wednesday at 3 o'clock works for me.
Yep,
You know, I'm just gonna be upfront with you, though, we are interviewing other agents.
right. So Debbie, I'm so happy to hear that.
Okay, so my question is, and you're
Yeah.
probably gonna give it to me in
Yep.
your response,
Yep.
is, do you prefer to be the first one, the middle one, or the end one?
Okay, so before I answer, I want you guys to raise your hand. If you know that you're going to a listing presentation and there are other agents who are going to be interviewing as well, who would prefer to go in first? Raise your hand. Okay, who would, well, I know who would go last. Okay, there we go. Here's my answer. I want to go first. You know why?
Because you're gonna close.
So, okay, David, that's great. I'll meet you Wednesday at 9 o'clock, but just to let you know, we are gonna be interviewing other people, so we're just listening to your thing just on Wednesday, okay? We're not gonna be doing or signing anything.
Perfect, perfect. And before I come out and meet with you, I have a couple of questions that I need to go over. Is that okay if I cover it
Of
now?
course.
That's when we do something called pre-qualification, which is another script. If you have a listing appointment with someone, let me back up a little bit before I get into that. Those of you who are new, you are going to learn about calling your database. You're going to learn about calling for sell by owners and expireds and getting listings. And I've always believed that there are 3 L's in real estate: leads, listing, and leverage. And so I was always focused to go after sellers. And so when I started in real estate, I'm looking at everybody in my office and they're up on the board. This person got a new listing. This person had a closing. And I was on the phone and talking to people and I wasn't having a lot of success, right? And so I started feeling this pressure to perform because everybody else was performing. I don't know if any of you guys feel that way or have felt that way. And so when you have that type of pressure on yourself and you call someone and they want to meet with you, the first thing you want to do is drop everything and go meet with them, right? Because you have a hot one, you have someone who wants to talk to you. My whole philosophy is you have to slow down in order to go fast. And what I mean by slowing down is what Deb is talking about. Before you just drop everything and you go meet with them, you have to use a pre-qualification script to make sure that you pre-qualify them and that you have a ready, willing, and able seller that's also motivated and coachable. And so the reason a lot of agents don't pre-qualify, and the reason I didn't pre-qualify in the beginning, is I've worked so hard to find somebody who even wanted to meet with me that when they agreed to the appointment, I didn't want to disqualify them. I just wanted to go to say like, hey, I had a listing appointment. However, I had young daughters at the time. My daughters were newborns, right? And what I found is that I was taking a lot of time away from my family, rushing out to meet with people who weren't motivated and who weren't coachable. And you do that enough times where you're spending hours running comps and driving to their house and meeting with them for an hour just to find out they were committed to listing with someone else, or they weren't really serious and they weren't highly motivated, you finally start understanding the importance of using scripts. And so the pre-qualification script is probably 12 to 15 questions long, but to me, the first 2 are really the most important. The first one is, when I come out and meet with you, if you feel comfortable with me and you feel confident I can sell your home, do you plan on listing your home with me on Wednesday? So I'm going to ask that to Debbie, and she may say, well, sure. Or she may say, no, because we're interviewing other agents, right? So that leads me to my second question. Who are you interviewing? And most people are comfortable asking that question. I want to know who they're interviewing. Why do I want to know that?
So you can prepare
Mm-hmm.
to speak, you should know your competition, what they do, what they don't do.
You guys gonna let Francis answer all the questions?
That's
Really? No, it's good. I'm glad you have an answer. But you heard what she said, right? You want to know who they're interviewing, because then I can go and do my research. I know my days on market are 30 and that other agent's days on market are 50. I know that my list price to sales price ratio might be 104%, where the other agent's only 98%. And so if they're looking to interview other people and I can say, hey, I did some homework for you, would this be helpful to see how I match up against the other people that you interview so I can save you some time? That's helpful for the seller. They don't necessarily want to meet with 3 agents and spend 2 hours of their day hearing the same information over and over again. So if they feel comfortable with me and they feel confident I can sell their home, and I can also sit there and show them how I do a better job than the other agent, I can get that listing signed tonight. which is why I want to go first.
And what do you offer to do for them? This
Thank you,
is
Megan.
made me laugh when he told me this years
This
ago.
is another script that I learned that I felt very uncomfortable with. I learned that the seller never wants to be a bad guy. They don't want to call you and tell you they've decided to go with someone else. So when I'm at a seller's house and they tell me they feel comfortable with me and confident, but they still want to have the other meetings, I usually will say something like, is it because you felt obligated to meet with them? And they say yes. Well, here's what I typically do for clients that are ready to list with me, but they have other appointments. I will call those agents right now from your house and take that off your plate and let them know that you've decided to list with me. And that way we can get the paperwork signed and get everything started. So here's the thing. The first time I had to do that, I was a little nervous to call the other agent, and they weren't really happy to hear from me. And yet, if I don't take that off the seller's plate, the seller's gonna have that other interview. That agent will now know my price and know my commission. And again, they're gonna beat me out because if they want the listing, all they have to do is lower their commission or tell the seller a higher price. I don't want them to have that meeting because at a weak moment, you can end up with a very weak agent. You wanna get them to sign the paperwork when you're there. So if you take it off their plate and you offer to make that phone call, they'll take you up on it. And so the first time I made the call, the agent, they didn't believe me, they weren't happy. And right after I hung up with them, they called the seller. Like, are you meeting with, and they had to just make sure that I was telling the truth. They didn't believe me and they weren't happy with the situation. I've also been at home prepping and running comps, getting prepared for a listing presentation. And I got a call from an agent saying, hey, David, I know you're meeting with the Kings. I just wanted to let you know we took the listing so you don't have to come out. I was like, damn it. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I can stay home now. I can spend time with my family, right? I don't have to go out and meet with someone who's already mentally committed to someone else and they're not going to work with me. And so we have to understand that our income is in direct proportion with our ability to have some difficult conversations. And sometimes that can be tough to have that conversation with the seller and with the other agent. However, if we don't have that, we're leaving potential income on the table because you never want to leave that house without getting the paperwork signed. And I don't look at it as being high pressure. Like, I'm not pressuring them to sign with me. They want to sign with me, but there are some objections. And my job as an agent is to be a problem solver and overcome those objections. I don't see it as being pushy. I have just taken enough listing appointments and gone home feeling like, yeah, I got that. They said, send the paperwork over and they'll sign it. And then I never heard from them again. So when that happens enough times, you will learn that you can't leave the house without getting the paperwork signed, right? That makes sense? What questions do you guys have around that? And you guys are salespeople, and our job is to ask a lot of questions and not talk so much. So I'm hoping that you guys have questions for me.
You physically bring the listing agreement, but we go home and mail it. We got loose mail. We used to, in the old days, bring the listing.
My philosophy has always been to bring two pieces of paper, the actual listing contract and the commission addendum, and I bring that and have them sign that in person. When I get home, if I choose to load everything up into Dotloop or DocuSign to send it over, that's fine, but I want them to physically sign and commit to me when I'm there. Because I have said to people, I'll send the paperwork when I get home. And then I don't get a response because they get a call from another agent who's offering something different or better. So I would just say at the very least, bring the listing contract.
Okay.
And in my car, and you guys are agents, so you should be doing this as well. You should have blank listing paperwork with you. You should have blank buyer contracts with you and keep them in your car. I always had a for sale by owner packet that I would drop off and give to a for sale by owner in my car. And I always kept thank you cards, envelopes, and stamps in my car. So every time I met with someone and we had a meeting, whether it was a physical preview or a listing presentation where they didn't sign with me, I would go right out to my car, thank you note, put a stamp on it, and make sure that went in the mail immediately. So you just keep a packet, a folder in your car, a little accordion folder with all that stuff in there, because you never want to walk away with someone who's ready to commit and sign and work with you. You should always get the paperwork signed. I know that we use electronic agreements now. I will tell you, don't learn the hard way, learn from my mistakes. Have them sign when they're ready to sign. All right, what other questions do you guys have around this topic before we move on? Any other questions? All right, so let me ask you this. How many of you struggle with commission? And here's what I mean by the commission struggle. I'm a 6% agent. I know my worth. And I know especially, thank you. And I'm a 6% agent that used to do 3 and 3. And then when I really found out my worth and that as a listing agent, I'm taking a lot of risk up front. I'm spending money right out the gate on photos and staging and postcards and Facebook ads. I started keeping 3.5 and paying out 2.5.
There you go.
So that's how I handle things. And a lot of things that I come across when I talk to agents, a lot of times agents are so willing to just take the commissions being offered and you aren't negotiating to get what you're worth. I'm 6%. If you guys are a 6% agent, you have someone who wants to work with you and they say, we'll sign the paperwork right now if you'll do it for 5. And I want you guys to be honest with me. How many of you guys would take the paperwork and sign it at 5%?
Depends on the listing.
Depends on the, that's a fair answer. Okay. How many of you would not do it at 5%? I wouldn't. I know my worth. And here's what I've learned over time. If you let them start nickel and diming you in the beginning, they're always in your pocket. The deal's close and you're a couple grand apart. They want you and the other agent to make it work. Inspection report comes back and they've done all this work and the water heater still needs to be replaced. And they're like, I'm not doing anything else. If you guys want to get your commission, you take care of it. Like they stay in your pocket a lot of times when you reduce your commission. But the biggest thing that I realized and I started to understand is that when people are hiring us, are they hiring us just to sell their home or are they hiring us to get the best terms and the best price? What do you guys think?
They want everything for the discount.
Right? What do you guys think? All you quiet people, what do you think? Best terms and best price? Right? So in order to do that, do you think you have to be a pretty good negotiator to get them best terms and best price? Right? So if you come in and the seller can actually out negotiate you, are you someone they really should be hiring if you can't negotiate how you get paid? Should they hire you? I say no. And so that's what I tell sellers. I tell them, like, you want me to discount my commission to 5 because the other agent did? Let me tell you why you don't want to use them. They've already showed you how they negotiate. Is that the person that you want handling your biggest asset? I'm a bulldog. I fight for my commission, which means I'm going to fight for your equity. And you don't want someone who can't negotiate being on the front line of selling and negotiating your home, do you? It's a tie down as well, too. Anyhow, you have to learn how to have those conversations. Is that a little uncomfortable? Yeah, but guess what? When you don't do that, when you're saying yes to them on lowering your commission, you're saying no to your kids. You're saying no to your retirement. You're saying no to the college funds and all the things that are on your vision board because you're leaving money on the table. And I'm not saying that we can't be negotiable. I mean, in New Jersey, commission's always negotiable, isn't it? My listing commission is not negotiable. So let's say we're at 6% and we pay out 3 and 3. I'll tell the seller, what you pay me is not negotiable. I'm 3% to list your house. Now we can talk about why we would pay a buyer's agent maybe 2.5. Maybe we can reduce it on their side, but what you pay me to list your home is not negotiable. But let me tell you why we don't want to lower what we pay out to the buyer. So we have a whole conversation about that, but I've learned to defend my commission. Again, go ahead.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Because you said now you take you're going with the 6 and saying, well, I'm 3.
Right.
And this is why we should be paying them 3.
Right.
Then you just said that you're giving out the 2.5 and you're taking.
In the beginning, I was a 6, 3 and 3. At the end,
Okay.
I charged 6 and kept 3.5. When you get to a point where you're selling a lot of property and you have great stats, the answer is only agents that don't sell a lot of property for top dollar negotiate their commission. Let me show you what I do for my sellers. I don't negotiate. Because it's not about what you pay me, Deb. It's really about what you put in your pocket at closing, right? So if I can sit here and demonstrate that by hiring me, even though my commission may be 1% higher than the other people, by hiring me, you're going to put 6% more in your pocket. I mean, that wouldn't pose a problem for you, would it?
No, but could you explain to me why you wouldn't give half of the 6% to the buyer's agent that brings the buyer into our home?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, when I take your listing, Deb, immediately I'm spending money right out of the gate before the property even sells. You know, you've looked over my marketing plan, you see that I do professional photos, I hire a professional stager, I do a broker open, I do public open houses, I run ads on social media platforms. I'm spending money up front. There's a higher risk for me to take the listing as a listing agent. So there's also a higher reward.
Would there be more incentive though for a buyer's agent to bring the buyer to my house if you did offer them the 3% though, as opposed to 2.5%?
I can understand why you would think that. And yet what you need to understand is that most buyers, I mean, let me ask you this. You're looking to buy a new house right now. How are you looking for that house?
I go online at night before I go to bed, and then I usually in the morning send a text message of a bunch of addresses to my agent.
Exactly. And that's why I don't need to pay that higher commission, because it's the buyers who are doing a lot of the footwork. And so my job is to make sure that I'm spending money to get your house in front of those buyers and exposing it to the buyers. So that extra commission allows me to have a marketing campaign that just is out there where everybody's seeing the property. Because to your point, and just the way you're handling your property search, the buyers are on doing the searches online. I need to make sure I'm getting it in front of them. When they find the right house, they're going to say, take me to see that house. And if their agent's not willing to, they'll just call me. So we're good. We're good. Is that a good way to handle that?
I want another people to do that.
Okay. Because listen, isn't that true? Isn't that true? What's up, Scott? I gotta tell you guys, everything I'm saying to you right now, and every time I do a class like this, people say, wow, it just flows out of your mouth. You have an answer for everything. But guess what? I didn't in the beginning. In the beginning, for all of you who are new, there are people here who've had their license for like 2 weeks and 3 weeks. When I picked up that phone in the beginning, I was shaking, it weighed 800 pounds. I was stuttering and like getting hung up on. And seriously, it's putting the work in every day. It's making the calls every day. It's learning what people say and then learning how to respond. It's practicing and having role play set up in the office so that you can practice here. Like, this is a safe space, which is why I'm trying to get you guys to talk and open up here, because you practice here. Don't go practice on your paycheck. If you do this in front of a seller and you're not prepared, you're going to lose opportunities, right? I don't want you to pay the dummy tax that I used to pay. I paid so much dummy tax. Learn from what I'm telling you. You know, I told a story recently about an expired listing I went after in Dallas. I was dropping my daughters off at school and I had my name tag on, and the guy came up to me. He was like, oh, you're an agent. My house has been on the market. It hasn't sold. Can you come see it? So I went to his house. I was super excited because it was the biggest listing I would have had, you know, $800,000 in Dallas. It was a pretty big deal. And so later on that night, I came out and presented for him and his wife. And I did a decent job. I ran my comps. I was pretty confident in what I delivered. They were ready to work with me. They agreed on the price that I gave them because they knew the higher price wasn't working because their house hadn't sold. And they said, well, what's your commission? Actually, the wife said, what's your commission? I said, 6%. And she was like, will you do it for 5? Right? What did I say? I said, absolutely. Right? Because I had just started, you know, I didn't really know scripting. I didn't know what to say. I just knew in my head, I was like, well, 6% of 800 is 48. 5% is still 40. Okay, yeah, sure. And I took the listing. They signed the paperwork. And the husband, Larry, was like, David, let me walk you out. So he walked me out. Hey, thank you. Looking forward to working with you. This is going to be great. And then he said something that changed my whole mindset around commission from that point on. He said, man, Dave, I was really surprised you didn't fight harder for your commission. That's what the seller said to me. So I shook his hand and I got in my car and I did. And I was like, I didn't even fight. I didn't say anything. I said, absolutely. So I made a promise to myself, never again. And I'm not saying that I always got 6%. What I'm saying to you is I learned how to overcome objections And sometimes instead of 6, I got 5.75, I got 5.5. There were times I took listings at 5 as well, but I fought for my commission. Because here's what I learned. Half the people you talk to are asking just to ask. Will you lower your commission? And the biggest objection handler to that is you look at them and you go, no. Do you have any other questions? And then you shut up, right? Don't keep talking, just, do you have any other questions? And you sit there like this and they'll go, no, and then you sign the paper. So half the time, that's all you have to do. But then there are other times where people are so caught up in not wanting to pay 6% because someone else offered a lower commission. It comes down to educating them on how commission works, because they don't understand it's not the commission that they need to be concerned about. What do they need to be concerned about?
Net.
Net. I'm gonna have you come up here and teach me. You got all the hand. This is net, though. That's exactly what they're concerned about. Not what they pay me, what they put in their pocket. So we need to learn how to take the conversation away from commission and put it on what's important to them, is what they net. And that's why it's so important. Everyone who's new here, you need to be on top of your numbers. You need to track what your numbers are, what your days on markets are, your list price to sales price ratio. And if you don't have business because you're new, what's the numbers here? What are your office numbers? You need to know that, because it's easy to defend your commission when you can talk numbers. This other agent's gonna net you this. We net this for our clients. It's easier to have that conversation when you actually have that information. So really quickly, everybody on Zoom, any questions for me? If so, you guys can unmute. I want to see if we have any Zoom questions really quickly. Zoom, let's show people that folks on Zoom are more interactive than the people who are here sitting in the class with me. Don't fail me. Any questions? No? No? All right, anyhow. Hey, what's up? Yes.
This market, it's not as difficult to list a house and sell it 90,000 over list price. You know,
Right.
it's really not as difficult as it was years ago. So
Right.
everybody's numbers are going to be up.
Right.
Our particular market, we have 2 agencies that are very experienced agents, and they're notorious for 4%. So we're battling that every listing in our town. Seasoned agents.
It's tough in this market. I have to agree with you. People are just saying what they need to say to get the listings, because they understand that if they're priced correctly, they're actually selling. So part of our job is to get a contract and get a good price on the house. I think you guys would all agree with that. Let me ask you, how many homes are falling out of contract? Anybody know the numbers or know the stats right now? How many homes, once they go under contract, the deal completely falls apart?
Matt?
I mean, anybody want to take a guess? Like, any thoughts on it?
I don't know the number, but it's a lot more recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting to happen, so.
So the last time I tracked, Scott, it was right at 22, but I think it could be higher, but let's just use 20%. 20% of the deals right now are falling apart, right? And so it's important to find an agent who can sell your property. It's also important to find someone who can actually get you through the closing table. So a lot of ways you can show your value, and this may or may not work. It depends on who you're talking to. You talk about all the steps and systems you have in place, not just to get an offer and get it under contract, but what do you do to get to the closing table? Who's on your team? Who's your support staff? What attorneys are you using? Why do you use them? What lenders are you using to pre-qualify, and why are you using them? How does that help you get a deal from under contract to close? That's how you show your value. And so a lot of times all we do is go in and we talk about our commission, and we're not showing them why they're paying that commission and who's on our team that helps us and supports us to get it through to the closing table. I think we have to have a better conversation about that. And yet it's getting hard out there, because there are top agents that do a lot of great work that are just coming in and just dropping their commission just to get the business, which is another reason why I recommend going in first, to Deb's point.
Yeah.
And not going in last. You want to be the first one in. And you also want to call people who reach out to them before they start reaching out to other agents to come in and list their house. You guys know the percentage of sellers who only interview one person?
It's high.
Mhm.
I was gonna say 80%.
The last time I checked with the National Association of Realtors, it was 71%, but that report was a few years back, so it could be higher. But 71% of sellers only interview one agent. So the first thing we have to do is not give them a reason to interview a second person, right? Which is why learning scripts and objection handling is so important, which why learning the listing presentation is so important. Because when they invite you to their house, at that point, they think you can actually do the job. It's when you get there and you open your mouth that you either get the listing or you lose it. So you really need to know what to say. You can't be practicing on them because you give them a reason to go find someone else to interview if you don't do a good job. 71% of people only interview one agent.
I did feel though that during COVID,
Yeah.
that changed a lot in my market at least,
Okay.
right? Because I felt like everybody was home and
Okay.
it's like they had no entertainment. Suddenly we were their entertainment. So.
I don't
agree.
disagree with you. The phone calls went from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. How are you doing? Like people just wanted to have conversations. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So that was the first time I started to experience a lot more
Yeah.
competition.
Well, again, that's the reason why you want to be getting some detailed information during the pre-qualification. Who are you interviewing? When are you interviewing those people, right? How do I win with you? How do I lose with you? Why are you selling the house? Why is that important? What will that do for you? How will you feel? Like all those questions that you're asking are going to help you show up differently than the other agents, because most agents don't pre-qualify. Most agents don't do a pre-listing packet, which is a highly scripted thing to do as well. Who sends out a pre-listing packet before they go on a listing appointment? Who doesn't know what a pre-listing packet is? And it's okay if you don't know. All right, so what I learned early on was you don't just show up to a listing appointment. You send out a pre-listing packet, which is your bio, your resume, who you are, what you do to market property. So I always gave examples of, here's what my postcards look like. Here's the professional photography I use. I hire a stager. Here's what a sample room looks like before and after staging. I give them information on the importance of pricing. I also give them homework. Your homework is to fill out this blank seller's disclosure, have a copy of your survey if you have one, and have 2 copies of your keys ready. Right? I'm giving them homework. I do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you walk in the house for the listing appointment, you see they have 2 keys made and all the paperwork filled out, that should up your confidence, right? Because they are being coachable and doing what you told them to do. But also I send out a pre-listing packet to show my value and set myself apart from all the people who don't do it. So many people just run out and go on the appointment. It's just one more thing that you're doing to show your value. And then also by pre-qualifying, people are asking you questions and giving you objections when you're pre-qualifying. And it's not really your job to overcome those objections when you're pre-qualifying, but what they're telling you is, this is what I want to talk to you about when you come out. I don't know about you guys, but I want to know what their objections are and their questions are before I show up. I don't want to get there and get blindsided. And so by pre-qualifying, they're telling you everything they want to talk about. Commission, the fact that they're up interviewing other agents and they want someone who's a local expert. They're bringing all that up when you pre-qualify so that when you present, you can hit all those areas. You can talk about all those things during your presentation. And an objection is really an unanswered question in the mind of a seller. And so if you go there, you already know what their questions and objections are, and you address those in your presentation, guess what? They're no longer objections. So that's why having the script, pre-qualify, pre-listing packet, a canned listing presentation that you go through soup to nuts, you cover everything, and then you close. You'll get more listings if you follow a system to go get listings. Does that make sense around the pre-listing packet? And I know for you, especially you guys who are new, so what do I need to do? So let me tell you this, that's why I'm happy you guys are here at KW. We have a great training program that's going to train you up and make sure that you know about pre-listing packets and how to pre-qualify and how to do a listing presentation. You just can't rely on the classes you take here though. You have to do some practice at home. You have to find role play partners that will help you level up and be prepared to go out there and meet with an actual seller. And so one thing I used to do, and I'm going to recommend it to you guys, once a week, have 3 people get together. And you guys should be practicing your scripts and you should be practicing your listing presentation. One person's the agent, one person's the seller, the other person's taking notes. And that entire thing, you should be doing what I'm doing right here. Have your camera set up and you should record it. And then later on that day, you should go through that recording and watch the tape, just like they do before a football game. They go and watch the tape from the previous game to figure out what they can do a better job at. You should be watching that tape back and listening to your tonality, making sure you have good eye contact with the person you're talking to, making sure that you're mirror and matching the person that you're talking to. Do you guys know what mirror and matching is, by the way? Yeah, it's if you're talking to someone, as an example, if you're talking to a seller and they're sitting back like this, right? But you're talking to them and you're leaning forward, it's almost like you're attacking them and you're talking down to them. So you have to learn how to, so you're not going to mimic them exactly. As soon as they do this, you're not going to do this, right? It's like a subtle shift, right? You see them kind of cross their arms and lean back, and throughout the conversation, you slowly kind of cross your arms and lean back. Because a lot of times you miss out on opportunities because the seller just isn't in rapport with you. They like you, but it's like, there's something about that person. I'm not quite in rapport with them. And so you have to practice that. If you talk to someone like me, I tend to talk very slow at times. You want to slow down and talk slower, because if you're talking really fast, again, we're not in rapport. And so by recording and then listening to your recording or watching your recording, it helps you level up and figure out the areas that you need to improve on. I know I'm covering a lot of things, but as they come to my mind, I just feel like I got to put them out there so you guys can think about it. And is this being recorded? Yes. So you guys can always go back and watch this again. But these are things that we have to be doing to level up, because again, you do not want to practice on your paycheck. You want to practice here in the office and find people who are actually going to hold you accountable. Give people permission to critique you. I told Megan yesterday when I talked to her, listen to what I say today, and I want you to tell me where I need to improve and what I can work on. Because although most people say, David, that was an amazing class, in my head, I'm like, there are things that I can do a better job at. And I'm on a journey. You guys don't know me, but years ago, I struggled with public speaking. Like, I couldn't get in front of two people. I'd be sweating, legs shaking, heart's doing this. I couldn't talk in front of two people. And I had to take Toastmasters and, just put myself out there day after day after day and take little baby steps to improve. And I know I'm not where I want to be. And so I'm always looking for feedback. And that's what you guys should be doing, giving people permission to be direct and upfront with you and give you feedback. The problem we have when we have role play partners, they say, oh, good job, that was great. And it wasn't really that great. And then you think you're doing good and you get on the phone with the seller and you're getting all these click, you're not getting opportunities, and it's because your role play partners aren't telling you. You say too much, right? You're talking too slow. You're not asking questions. You're not sticking to the script. You're not closing multiple times. They don't give you good feedback. They just say, good job. You have to have people who are going to give you good feedback and give them permission to give you feedback. So the way I recommend you guys practice your scripts, 15-minute increments. Like if you're doing it with you and another person, 5 minutes for you to be the agent, 5 minutes for you to be the seller, and then 5 minutes where you guys can actually talk about what you did well and what you need to improve on. You always want to make sure that they get the appointment. So if you're practicing calling for sell by owners, don't hang up on your role play partner. Like, always let them book the appointment, but give them a tough time, but let them get the outcome that they're looking for, because how you participate in class is how you participate out in the real world, and you want to practice for the results you want to get. So always let them book the appointment, but give them a hard time and then give them feedback on what they can do a better job on.
What scripts would you be using?
So great question. I can send you guys the scripts that I use. I've used a combination of, Keller Williams scripts, Bold scripts, Mike Ferry scripts. I will tell you, it doesn't really matter what scripts you use. They're all pretty similar. What you have to learn how to do is internalize the script so that it comes out natural. A lot of people don't like using scripts because they feel they sound really robotic and it sounds really canned. When you practice it enough and you write it down and you say it out loud and you role play it enough, you make it your own. Like, everything I've said to you guys is a script. Everything I've said today is a script. When I first started saying it, it sounded like a script. But because I've said it so much, it just comes across as normal conversation. That's where you have to get. That's where you have to get in your business, where any script that you use, you internalize it. You don't go in and change it because it was written that way for a reason. And what my coach said to me years ago, he gave me a script for sale by owners. And I'm like, I'm not saying that. Can I change this? I don't like the way this is written. And he said to me, the person who wrote that script, and I think it was Diana Kokoska with the Bold program, she sold like thousands of homes using that script. Have you sold 1,000 homes yet? I'm like, no. He said, then you don't have permission to change the script until you sell 1,000 homes. No. And I took that and said, okay, I'm not going to change the script. It's written that way for a reason. What I have to do is make that script my own and learn how to internalize it. And that's what I did. You make enough calls, you do enough role play, it becomes your script. The other thing I want to say really quickly about scripts, when you guys start making calls, you normally will come here and make calls, or you have an office at home and your scripts are right in front of you. The problem that comes up is that the sellers never call back when it's convenient for you. They call back when you're driving or when you're grocery shopping, right? And you don't have your scripts in front of you. You have to answer the phone though, because it's hard enough getting people on the phone. When they call you back, you need to answer. And so one thing I've learned, and I just want to encourage you guys to do, every script that you get, put it in the binder, number one. So when you're at your office, you have for sale by owner scripts and you have the objections for the for sale by owner scripts. But also take those same scripts and save them in a Google Drive or on Dropbox. Or take a picture of it and just create an album on your phone that says scripts. When anyone calls you, you just go, boop, boop, visible script, and it's right there on your hand, right there in your hand. You should always have your scripts handy. So put those in the folder on your phone. Never get caught out there without a script, because you have that one opportunity to talk to someone. You don't want to lose it by not saying the right thing or asking the right question. So I've always kept them on my Dropbox, 2 clicks, and I'm right there and I can pull up any script, any objection handler I need. So make sure you guys are doing that. Let me check the time. Oh, an hour went by really quick. I'm talking too much, so I'm going to shut up right now and I'm going to take some questions. So can we do a little Q&A? So,
One question.
oh, go ahead.
I just had, when you were talking about our stats for sellers that choose the first agent.
Yeah.
2021 was 82%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 82%. Thank you for that.
Maybe COVID, I don't know, but interesting.
But I even thought 71 was high. So the fact that it's now 82% of people are only interviewing one agent, right? It's your listing to lose. Don't lose it because you didn't prepare. Don't lose it because you didn't pre-qualify and ask all the right questions. Don't lose it because you didn't show your value by giving a pre-listing packet. And don't lose it because you go in there and you try to wing it, right? I watch all these videos and they talk about Ford method. You guys know what the Ford method is? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, right? And so I see all these people like walking through the house and they're like, oh, guitar, I play guitar too. Oh, you read James Patterson, I love James Patterson. They're like trying to build rapport up with the seller. There's nothing wrong with that. However, they don't need any new friends, and neither do I. Like I'm not there to make a friend. I'm there to help them solve their problem. Our job as real estate agents is to be problem solvers. In order to understand what their problem is, we need to be asking a lot of questions and going deep. Like, don't be afraid to go deep. Like, why is that important to you? What will that do for you? Go deep so you really understand what their problem is, and then you'll get the opportunities. I'm not walking around your house trying to just build rapport and be a friend. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that method. I'm just saying, for me, my job is to help you get your home. So we can become friends after the contract signs, and we can get to know each other then, but learn how to take control. Oh, guess what? Guess what? I didn't say this, but I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna say it right now. If your phone rings during any of my classes, there is a $20 fine that goes directly to KW Cares.
No problem.
So you don't have to pay it now because I didn't say it.
That
I didn't say
it's
it.
off. The problem is that it's my mother and she's the only one that goes through regardless.
I have that on my phone too. I get it.
Sorry.
But you didn't know, but you guys know now. If it rings, $20 to KW Cares. And if it rings twice, a bottle of scotch for me.
David, you know, Ford is good, and you brought up a good point, because when I talk to people about using that Ford method,
Yes.
it's not about walking through the house. it's that awkward conversation. You haven't spoken to somebody in your sphere for a while.
Yes,
It's that breaker that can get you into a conversation. But
I agree.
like you said, it's not build that rapport walking through a house.
That's right. And I like to, here's something, I hope you guys are doing this. Everybody in my database, I follow them on social media. And so before I call somebody, I do a quick look on Facebook and see, oh, they just came back from Mexico, or somebody just had a birthday, or they just got a new puppy. It allows you to stay plugged in with your database and what's happening with them. So it gives you a reason to call. So it makes it where it's not awkward, because you're staying in touch and seeing what's happening with them through social media. And you don't have to spend a lot of time doing it. You can just spend a few minutes every day just kind of going through, liking a couple posts. Hey, congrats on the new puppy. And you're staying in conversation with them digitally using social media. So it's something that we should be doing so that we don't lose that relationship. We stay on top of who those people are and what they're doing. And that's another reason why we can't just post real estate on our social media. Most of the agents is new listing, open house this weekend, and that's all they're posting. You have to let people know who you are. They want to know who you are, but they also want to see you create some content throughout your day. Like, what do you do as a real estate agent? What's that behind the scenes thing you do? So the people who are friends with me, like Scott and Deb and Megan, they see me post cooking with my family, grilling, going on hikes, taking pictures of eagles. They like see a personal side to me. And the benefit of that is people want to work with people who are like them. And so many people feel connected to me because of the cooking I do. So many people feel connected with me because of the photography or the time I spend with my daughters. They get to know me on a personal level, but then I'm putting real estate in there as well. So I'm staying top of mind when they need an agent. They're like, I like David, man. He's always cooking. I need to sell my house. Let me give him a call, right? It's that connection, that professional and personal connection. So you have to be purposeful about not beating them over the head with your personal life or with real estate, but having a good balance where you're just kind of documenting your day. Gary Vaynerchuk says we have to be a media company as real estate agents. We have to be the digital mayor of the towns that we work in and talk about who we are and what we do and where we live, and interview the local stores, interview the local principals, interview the local police chief, and just talk about the areas where we live. And people start seeing us as a local expert if we do those things. I don't know how I got on social media, but anyhow, I digress. What other questions do you guys have? Hey.
So my question is, do you have two separate Facebooks and Instagrams, or do you have one?
Well, that's a dangerous question for me. I have 4 Instagrams, but so let me answer this because I don't want to make it super complicated. I do have a personal Instagram and I do have a real estate Instagram as well, but then I will mix some stuff. So I'll take some of my personal stuff and put it on my professional one, and I'll take some professional stuff and put it on my personal. So I kind of mix it up, and I allow people to choose which account they want to follow. On Facebook, I have a professional account, and what I will do is post to my professional account and then share it on my personal account. But I don't beat them up over the head with real estate. Again, I have a bit of a balance there, but I have a lot of different accounts because I do a lot of different things. So I just didn't want to confuse people with all the stuff that I do outside of real estate. So that's why I have so many different accounts. But I think it's okay to just have one. I think what I see a lot of agents doing right now is just moving in the direction of having one account and just being purposeful about putting some real estate in, right? As an example, for Reels on Instagram, you want to use those to reach people you don't know, right? You can put the Reels on your main page, but the Reels are to attract people who don't know you, to bring them into your circle. Your stories and what you post on your front page, that's for people who really know you. So you have to use Instagram Reels as a way to grow your account and get more people attracted to you. And you do that by not putting, hey, I have an open house from 1 to 4. Nobody cares. But they do want to see you like out putting up the signs and talking to local people and just documenting your day, like being here in class. You guys, everybody should have their phone out, like taking this great class on learning how to talk to sellers. I don't see a lot of people like documenting. This should be documented on your story and on your Reels. You guys should be doing that every day and showing what the life of a real estate agent is like and what you actually do. And then sellers are like, man, I always see you in class. I see you out there meeting with people and going to broker opens and going to open houses. and they see you hustle. They see what you're doing and have the success, and they're attracted to that. And the other people who are attracted to it are other agents.
That's an alarm.
Mhm.
This is 12 o'clock.
But other agents see that too, and I can't tell you how many agents have reached out to me and joined Keller Williams because they like what they see on my page. So it's a great way to build your downline as well. People are like, "Oh, you went to this training? Tell me about it." And they're reaching out to you and talking to you, and before you know it, you have a decent downline. So be purposeful about that. And even though I said you guys should be documenting and pulling your phone out, not one person pulled their phone out.
It's already done. My assistant has all of us on it already.
Yeah.
So you're good.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I'm just giving you a hard time. But seriously though, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. Go ahead.
And I also want to add, I'm new here since July, but
Yes.
I already have 2 people who are looking to become realtors, and they're interested in, coming to Prosperity because they're seeing my videos and posts about, and they're seeing how, training and all the positive energy here.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that because I wish I had taken that approach when I started at Keller Williams like 15 years ago. I didn't take profit share seriously until about 2 years ago, right? And so now my checks are like sometimes $2,400, $2,500. That's life-changing money. And if I had started that 15 years ago and had been purposeful about sharing and talking and showing people what I do, who knows how much money I would have made by now, right? So good for you. I'm glad you're doing that. What other questions do you guys have?
Since we're on social media.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the last time you were here, you said you have a TikTok as well.
I do.
And how's that going for you?
It's going great. I'm up to, as of yesterday, I have over 6,000 followers. And I have people who have joined Keller Williams and joined my downline because of TikTok. I have people who've reached out to me and signed up for my push training program because of what I share on TikTok. I don't sing. I barely dance at my wedding. I don't dance. So I don't feel like you got to be doing all these antics on TikTok in order to get people's attention. I get on there and share exactly what I'm sharing here. I have to be more succinct because you can only do 3 minutes, but I share videos every day and talk about real estate. I talk about things that motivate other people. I also share every Monday, I go on a nature hike and I do nature photography, and I'll share some pictures and videos, and that brings people into my page. I have like 6,000 followers now. And it's tremendous. And I will tell you, one of the biggest benefits, there's a young lady, her name is Ashley, and she saw me on TikTok and sent me a direct message. And she's like, "I work for Keller Williams, in Morristown, I'm struggling, I'm not doing well. I saw one of your videos, can you help me?" I reached out to her about a month later because I hadn't been checking my messages and didn't realize she had left me a message. She's been like in my circle, coming to my morning mindset calls, my Scotch and Scripts calls. This girl is like taking listings every week and getting 6% on her listings every week. And it was because of TikTok that we got the introduction where I could bring her into the training I do. And she is like having the best year ever. So you just never know how your TikTok videos are gonna affect someone, and you should be doing TikTok videos. It's easy to do. Don't overthink it. Just be purposeful and create content and just put it out there. All the little posts that you guys put, just read it on the video. That's all you have to do. You had a question? No? Okay, I thought I saw a hand go up. But yeah, TikTok's working out really well. And if you guys don't have a TikTok account as real estate agents, you really should have one, especially for referrals. You have agents all over the country that you can link up with. If they get to know you as the New Jersey person that handles Passaic or Bergen County, if they, oh, my man. All right. Somebody keep track. KW Cares right there, 20 bucks. But it's a great way to build your downline and build referrals and just build great relationships. You never know who needs help. And I've had people reach out to me, "Oh, can you help? I have a relative in that area. Can you help them?" And although I don't do sales anymore, I do all coaching. I'm referring it out and getting 25% on it, 25%. So there's a way to make money on there as well. So you just need to be purposeful about social media. And as real estate agents, you have to understand that's where things are headed. That's where things are headed. And it's free. You don't pay for TikTok to put the content out. It's free. So why wouldn't you do it?
How much time are you devoting daily to creating your content and posting it? Or do you outsource it?
So I don't outsource it. Right now, I'm creating content. You see, I'm recording. So I can talk here for an hour, right? You guys could be in a meeting or out at an open house or doing a home inspection for an hour. You leave your videotape recording and conversations that you have, you can just break those down into smaller videos, and that's your content right there, right? I think that we aren't purposeful about how we live our lives as real estate agents. People think, I don't have anything to post. Well, you woke up this morning, you worked out, you got on the mindset call, you did some prospecting, you went out and previewed property, you went to a broker open, you door knocked some for sale by owners, you sat down and came back to your office and you ran some comps, you printed out some paperwork and some contracts. Like, everything you do every day is a social media post. You just have to be purposeful about documenting what you do. And so that's what I do. I keep this tripod, this camera, and every time I'm doing something, I just record and I save the videos. And when I have some downtime, I go through, like, okay, that minute thing that I just said right there, I trim it and post it, right? You just have to be purposeful about documenting your day. If you think about everything you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed that's real estate related, you've probably done 20 things that you could post. And the time I spend doing it, I would say about an hour a day. It can get tricky though on TikTok because it can suck you in and you can look up and 2 hours are gone. So you have to time block it. And there's something that I learned from the pivot shift call that I just want to share with you guys as we wrap up. When you do certain activities, do it with honor. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but that really resonated with me when I heard it. And so what that means is, if you're going to spend an hour on TikTok and you have that on your calendar from 2 to 3 p.m., do it with honor. And when 3 o'clock comes, turn off the phone and move on to your next project. Don't get stuck and then spill into the 3 o'clock hour. If you're committed to that 1 hour, do it for the hour and then be done. If you're going to lead gen from 9 until 12, lead gen from 9 until 12, and don't pick up your phone and don't get distracted with notifications from Facebook and Instagram and answer phone calls during that time. Time block your lead gen with honor, and that's all you do during that time. Because it's not about selling real estate, it's about following the schedule, and that's another bold law, but it's the truth. We have to have a schedule that's tight, and we have to honor that schedule. And if we do, and we have morning mindset, role play, lead gen, follow up, go on appointments, preview property, write up offers, if that's time blocked in our calendar and we do it with honor, you'll find that you'll have success in real estate because it's all about following the schedule. That's what it's all about. Did I answer your question? Okay, cool. No questions on Zoom? No?
I have one question.
Hey, Ashley.
Hi. So I know it's different between like each, person in terms of social media, what gets the most engagement, but what do you find typically gets most engagement from your followers? Would you say it's like educational or fun stuff, or just like your personality, like, that you see that side outside of real estate that kind of gets more interaction?
Well, I'm going to answer that question 2 ways. The first thing I'm going to tell you, you guys need to get comfortable with video, right? Because videos are getting most interaction right now. And what I love about using Instagram Reels is that they stay on forever. Your stories go away in 24 hours. So what I recommend you do is start learning how to do Instagram Reels. And it can be your personality. It can be something that's educational. It could be you talking about a house in a funny way. They don't want to see the post. Again, I mentioned this before, open house 11 until 4. They don't want to see that anymore. But they love to see videos like a time lapse of you running around, putting in all the signs and doing the balloons and talking about the neighborhood or the house and just putting your personality into it. That's what they want to see. And so if you're not comfortable doing videos, I encourage you to challenge yourself. Right now with the people who attend my morning mindset call, we're doing something called the 66-day challenge, where you do something for 66 days that you should be doing that you haven't done. And a lot of people are using that as a way to get started on TikTok. I'm using it to read every day because I have a stack of books that I started and hadn't finished. So every day I'm committed to reading every day. Maybe your challenge is starting off doing an Instagram story every day because it disappears in 24 hours, but you just do a quick story. And if you're not very comfortable on camera, keep it short. Just say, hey, hope you guys are having a good day. And that's it. And you do that enough times, you get more and more comfortable with the video and you start saying more and doing more, but you have to start somewhere. You have to start taking those baby steps somewhere. Wraps up.
Hey, David, I heard you say a couple times, morning mindset. What is that and how do people get into it?
So I just put it in the chat for you guys who are here. I don't know if you can see the chat. Let me just open it up here. No, it's not on there. My website is davidradney.com. My last name is Radney. I host a morning mindset call Monday through Friday. It starts at 8:40 and it goes into about 9 o'clock. And we talk about mindset. We talk about working with buyers. We talk about working with sellers. Sometimes we have challenges like the 66-day challenge that we have going on right now. What I love about this call is that I open the call up and we share gratitude. I'll have a few people talk about what they're grateful for. And it's such a great habit to get into because when you're focused on what you're grateful for, it's hard to get stuck in that negative place. And so by opening up with gratitude, it's a great way to start your day. And so we share gratitude, then we have a quick lesson for about 15 minutes. I don't host every day. I don't know if you guys know Zohar Zamir, if that name rings a bell, but his top buyer agent, Ron Lagashi, hosts 2 days a week. And so he talks about working with buyers and dealing with multiple offer situations and how to pre-qualify a buyer, how to hold a great open house. So we talk about things like that as well. And then I have a guy named Seth who comes on and we do some great deep thinking questions. But the calls are about 20 minutes, from about 8:40 until 9. Everybody's invited to join. You can be a fly on the wall and not say anything, but I tell you, the people who are having success are the people who are part of the conversation and who join and actually talk. So that's the one call I do. And if you go to davidradney.com, you can register for that call and get your private Zoom link. I also hold another call on Wednesday evenings at 5 o'clock, and this call is called Scotch and Scripts. It's my favorite call that I host. I've been doing it for about 2 years. And it's like a working happy hour. You don't have to drink to join. I drink. You don't have to. And we don't do script practice. I know it's called Scotch and Scripts, but it's not a role play call. The scripts we deal with are the scripts that a lot of us have. That drunk monkey, I'm new. No one's going to work with me, right? I don't know what to say. I don't, I'm not good enough. Those things that we tell ourselves, we talk about that on this call. And we have a lot of fun and we get to know each other on a personal level, because what I understand is the agents that actually make money and do business, there's a small percentage of agents. And when you have a personal relationship with them and you get to know them, it's a lot easier to get those deals done. So we get to know each other on a personal level and we talk about things and we have special guests. Last week I had a special guest. This guy's name is Stephen King. He's not the author Stephen King, the horror guy, but he is an author as well. He lost his eyesight in one eye and he had to have 14 surgeries on this other eye to save his eyesight. And he wrote a book called It's Really Good to See You. And he says, like, when I say it's really good to see you, it is, because I almost lost my eyesight. And so he talked about his whole struggle going through these surgeries since he was 14 years old. So we have great guest speakers that come on and share and talk. Next week, I have someone coming on about the power of time blocking and how to effectively time block. And so these are great calls where we open up. It's a working happy hour. So we have fun and we laugh and we tell jokes. But we fellowship with each other, and it's a safe space where you can talk about what you're going through as a real estate agent, and you're talking to people who get it because they're going through it too. Like I can't share that stuff with my wife. She'll listen, but she doesn't really get it, right? And so when you're on the call with other agents, they get what you're going through because they're going through the exact same thing. And that's the Scotch and Scripts call.
What time is that?
5 o'clock on Wednesdays.
So that's a Zoom call as well?
They're both Zoom calls.
Do you do anything with Clubhouse?
I did, and I just found that I was doing so much, I had to pull back a little bit, and yet I'm starting to see the benefit of getting back on Clubhouse. So I think I'm going to figure out a way to do that. But so far, Zoom and TikTok and all these other calls I'm doing take up a lot of my time. So I just haven't gotten on TikTok, back on Clubhouse yet. Yeah. Fred, thank you for asking me about that.
David, it's awesome having you here.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we had a great turnout. And,
yeah, absolutely. Really good turnout, and I appreciate you guys having me. It's awesome.
It's always good having you up here.
Yeah.
Truly appreciate it.
And I hope that I said something that resonated with you guys. I just want you to know, as I wrap up, I'll just say this. my goal being here today is just, when I started in real estate, I didn't have anyone. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a coach. So I want to show up and be the coach that I needed when I started in real estate. And I just needed someone who wasn't going to just be preaching at me, but someone who was like saying something that would open up my mindset to how I needed to show up as a real estate agent. You're not going to come to this class and get like this magic pill and, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, but this is just a conversation to tell you that the dialogue and the scripts and the objection handling is extremely important in your success. And if you know what to say and how to say it and what questions to ask and how to answer the questions you're receiving, you're going to have a lot of success in real estate. But again, as I've said plenty of times here today, you don't practice on the sellers. You practice here where you have a safe space to make mistakes and get corrected. And so as often as you can get into a class where they're talking about scripts, do it. Listing presentations, do it. How to run the CMA and price properties, do it over and over and over again. And that's just your road to mastery. It's 10,000 hours to mastery. You got to start somewhere. So today was a good hour and a half into that journey. And I hope you guys will come back for the next class.